Hello, friend, and welcome to Inside the Dark. Thank you for joining me. On the morning of March 4th of 2025, when 72-year-old Jessie Kirk didn't show up for her daily morning walk with her friend, and her friend couldn't reach her, she called the police. During their search for Kirk, they received information from someone who told them they witnessed a man walking away from a burning vehicle, holding his arm. When police arrived at the scene, they identified the burned vehicle as Kirk's vehicle, but she was not found inside. As word spread about Jessie's disappearance, police received information that a witness saw a man driving Jessie's vehicle in the complex where she lives on the day of her disappearance. And while they were investigating at her condo complex, they found a man lurking around the area with burns on his arms. That man was 35-year-old David Barber, a former corrections officer, and the former boyfriend and recent stalker of Kirk's niece. Her niece's name has not been released due to the seriousness of her stalking case with Barber, but court records say she broke off her relationship with him, who she lived with, in July of 2024, and he began stalking her shortly after, trying to break into the apartment they shared together and finding out where she moved to get away from him. She found out that he found where she moved to when she saw him on surveillance video, lurking around her car and even hiding underneath it, which terrified her. Barber was arrested for attempting to break into the apartment they shared together, but he bonded out of jail. So Kirk's niece obtained a restraining order against Barber. Then, her aunt disappeared on March 4th, and Barber was seen driving her vehicle before it was found burned, and Barber was found lurking around her condo, where he was arrested again for grand theft auto.
First tonight, police in Titusville looking to find a woman they say went missing in what they're calling a highly suspicious disappearance. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jesse Pagan.
And I'm Luana Munoz. This woman right here is 72-year-old Jessie Kirk. She went missing this morning. Let's get things out to West 2's Tony Atkins tonight, who is live for us at the Titusville Police Department. And Tony, what is the latest that we're hearing from investigators?
Yeah, we heard from investigators. They are still searching, and I also have been in contact with a number of Kirk's family members. They say at this point they don't want to comment, but they are thankful that law enforcement is thoroughly searching for her. Titusville police are looking for Jessie Kirk, a 73-year-old woman they say is missing under highly suspicious circumstances. Investigators tell us the woman was reported missing around 9 Tuesday morning when she didn't show up for a morning walk with a friend, something they say was highly unusual. A few hours later, detectives searched the 3200 block of South Washington where she lived. They say they came across what they say was a suspicious man. That man turned out to be 35-year-old David Barber of West Palm Beach. He was arrested for loitering and prowling. Police say he also had a significant number of fresh burns on him. Police also say he's the ex-boyfriend of one of Kirk's relatives. Around the time of the arrest, police say they also discovered Kirk's vehicle missing near State Roads 50 and 520 in Orange County, 19 miles away from her home. Tuesday, Chopper 2 was there as police searched the Brevard County Central Disposal Facility in hopes of finding any clues about her disappearance.
Tonight, a community is hoping for answers. 72-year-old Jessie Kirk is still missing, and police charged a man for taking her truck. That truck was found burned, and burns were found on the man who police say may have been involved in her disappearance. West Shoes' Tony Atkins is live at the Titusville Police Department tonight, and Tony, Kirk was loved in the community.
Yeah, I also spoke, Jesse, with Mayor Andrew Connors, who said he knew Jessie Kirk personally, and he, like many other people here in this community, say that they're hoping for the best and hoping for some closure in this case.
There are 2 counts a third-degree felony of grand theft of motor vehicle.
35-year-old David Barber in custody, now charged with unlawfully taking a vehicle belonging to 72-year-old Jesse Kirk.
Family members
and friends, they advised that the subject who was driving the vehicle did not have the authorization to be in physical control of the vehicle.
Kirk was reported missing after she didn't show up for a morning walk with a friend. An arrest report we received on Wednesday says one witness saw Barber driving Kirk's white Navigator truck. Her vehicle was found burned near State Roads 50 and 520, about 19 miles away from her condo. At that scene, that's where another witness allegedly told police she saw a white man walking away from the burning truck holding his right arm. Police say when they arrested Barber in Titusville near Kirk's condo, he had fresh burns on his arm.
I think it was a shock to everybody, and I think you probably saw the outpouring of support on social media. Everybody in this community loves her.
Titusville Mayor Andrew Connor says Kirk was a champion of the city and the Space Coast, and processing her not being around is hard.
It's still not real, to a lot of us. So I don't think we've coped very well with it.
At the center of her disappearance is this former corrections deputy who now returns to the county jail, but on the wrong side of the law. 35-year-old David Barber booked into jail this morning. Titusville police say Kirk's car was found on fire, and she never met up with her friend she went on a walk with every single day.
Yeah, News 6's James Barbero is at the jail with the latest developments.
This first appearance today was our first look at David Barber, who for the time being, police say they've arrested for stealing the missing woman's car and then for loitering at an apartment building across the street from her condo. Barber's familiar with the jail. The Brevard Sheriff's Office tells me that he worked here for 4 years, from 2018 to 2022, leaving on his own terms and never getting in any trouble.
All right, your name, please?
David Barber. But now, as 72-year-old Jesse Kirk is still missing, Judge Michelle Baker is ordering that Barber stay here in jail without a bond.
I do find probable cause for the arrest. Are you going to hire an attorney, or do you want me to consider appointing public defender?
Public defender, please.
He qualifies.
Public defender appointed.
A new arrest report from Titusville police tells us that Barber's ex-girlfriend is Jesse Kirk's niece. I went on to read that when police found Barber and they confronted him, he was asked why he tried to avoid them. He said, "I don't feel I should answer that at this time."
I'm rereading the arrest affidavit. A lot of suspicious activity as far as moving the cars around.
I don't see where the owner of the vehicle, the alleged victim in the case, had not given him permission or had actively told him that she did not want him driving the car.
It was reported stolen. I think that takes it out of any doubt.
In Brevard County, I'm James Sparvero, Getting Results, News 6.
Now, getting arrested means Barber violated the conditions of another arrest for a different crime just a couple of months ago. This is surveillance video from when Rockledge police say he was stalking his ex-girlfriend.
And the interesting thing is that ex-girlfriend is Jesse Kirk's niece. And that tidbit of information caught the attention of News 6 investigator Mike DeForest.
Yeah, Mike joins us now live in studio. And these are some troubling allegations, Mike.
The missing woman's niece claims that after they broke up, David Barber harassed her and then repeatedly showed up at her home uninvited. According to police, Barber even tried to break into an apartment that he previously shared with his ex-girlfriend.
Your name, please?
David Barber.
As David Barber is locked up in jail, charged with stealing a missing woman's vehicle, we're learning more about his connection to that missing Titusville woman, 72-year-old Jesse Kirk. Police reports show Kirk's niece dated Barber for 3 years. News 6 is not identifying the niece since she claims to be a stalking victim. In this request for a restraining order, the woman claims she broke up with Barber in June because he was posting sexually explicit pictures of her on various pornographic websites without her permission. The woman says she moved out of the Brevard County apartment she once shared with Barber and secretly moved into this Orange County apartment. But since last summer, the woman claims Barber has repeatedly been caught on camera here, rummaging through her garbage with gloves on, hiding next to her car late at night, and crawling underneath her vehicle. I am terrified of his actions and fearful he is trying to sabotage my vehicle or follow me to an unsafe location and attack or kill me, the ex-girlfriend wrote. A judge granted a temporary injunction against Barber. Then this happened. Rockledge police say this video from a Ring doorbell camera shows Barber returning to the Brevard County apartment he previously shared with his ex and placing tape over the lens. The new tenant of that apartment says Barber returned a few days later and tried to get in the door with a key. Authorities arrested Barber and charged him with attempted burglary. While out of jail on bond awaiting trial, investigators say Barber stole an SUV that belonged to his ex-girlfriend's aunt and lit it on fire. Now that aunt, Jessie Kirk, is missing.
Now, prior to the woman getting a restraining order, which remains in effect today, Barber reportedly tried to send an email to his ex-girlfriend through her attorney. Now, in that email, Barber expresses love for his ex and says, quote, "Please don't let your fear get the better of you. Please don't run away from this relationship." But she was clearly running based on the way you can read her request for this restraining order that was granted.
And in some of those details, she says he was hiding under her car and going through her trash.
Multiple times at a different home that she said she didn't know he had even realized where she had moved to. Now, again, this is the missing woman's niece, but certainly law enforcement is looking at what connection he may have had the day that the mother or the aunt disappeared from Titusville.
Yeah, and she's such a prominent person in that community, so a lot of people are looking for her. And
this story is endlessly creepy. And Barber is obviously dangerous. And even though police haven't yet charged him with Kirk's disappearance, he's obviously their #1 suspect.
A Central Florida community is mourning after this woman, Jessie Kirk, was found dead.
She was reported missing Monday. Her remains were found burned near Holliver Canal in Brevard County. West 2's Tony Atkins is live at the Titusville Police Department tonight. And Tony, the lone person of interest in this case is in custody.
Yeah, and that person is 35-year-old David Barber. Now, at this point, police have not charged charged him in connection with Kirk's disappearance and death, but they're still piecing all of this together, and they say to do that, they also need the public's help.
We have confirmation that the human remains found on March 4th, 2025 have been positively identified as Jessie Kirk of Titusville.
It's news no one wanted to hear. 72-year-old Jessie Kirk didn't show for a morning walk with a friend on Monday. What turned out to be her remains and her burned SUV were found the next day. 35-year-old David Barber, the ex-boyfriend of one of Kirk's nieces, was arrested.
That investigation turned highly suspicious when a niece of Miss Kirk arrived on scene and recognized a red Honda SUV that she recognized belonging to David Barber. At this time, I want to transition and talk about Jessie Kirk for just a minute. Jessie is a longtime resident of Titusville in North Brevard. She was a kind individual and had a gift to connect to anyone and everyone she met. She was known to always be there to anyone and help regardless of the situation. Jessie was part of the board of directors of the Children's Advocacy Center, part of the Parish Medical Center Foundation, and a recipient of the Navy League Humanitarian of the Year Award. We want to thank the community members that have, at this point, reached out to our investigators and provided information on this investigation so far. But what we need now is to focus on this timeline that I provided from March 3rd through March 4th and continue to ask the support of our community members in Titusville area and the Central Florida region to focus on that timeline that Sergeant Nelson is going to provide here in just a second. And if they have any information, reach out to us based on that information. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Brian Nelson.
Good afternoon. I'm Sergeant Brian Nelson with the Criminal Investigation Section of the Titusville Police Department. On the morning of March 4th, detectives with our bureau responded out to the area of the 3200 block of South Washington Avenue regarding a missing person with suspicious circumstances. During the course of the investigation, detectives made contact with a David Barber, who's an estranged boyfriend of one of Miss Kirk's family members. While making contact with him, they were investigating why he was there in the area and any information he may possibly have. While making contact, he had injuries consistent with high heat and burns and several scratches. He was not able to dispel officers' concerns about his presence in the area, and he was eventually arrested for loitering and prowling. A witness on scene identified him with the entering and exiting overnight hours into Ms. Kirk's vehicle and moving it around in different parking spots in the parking lot. He was also arrested for grand theft auto for her vehicle. As the investigators continued to work the scene, we were notified by the Orange County Sheriff's Office at approximately, it was at 1:09 p.m. Orange County Sheriff's Office found a vehicle which belonged to Mrs. Kirk fully engulfed in the area of 520 and 50. From there, at approximately 2:45 p.m., human remains were located in the area just south of Haulover Canal in Brevard County. Due to the condition of the body, a positive identification could not be made. However, at approximately 2 p.m. today at the medical examiner's office during the autopsy, the identification was made that it was Ms. Kirk. This investigation is still ongoing, and as more information comes to light, many people in the community have reached out and have given us information, and we would like that to continue to happen. But we are going to continue to seek the assistance of the public at this time. So we're asking if anybody was in the area of 520 and 50 on March 4th in the morning hours around 9:45 to 10:30, who may have seen a person walking in the area, to please notify us. If anyone was in the area south of Haulover Canal here in Brevard County on March 4th, and this would be the early morning hours, please contact us. And if anybody just has any information at all regarding anything, to please contact us. And if they don't feel comfortable, please contact Crime Line. Our goal has been and will continue to be to bring justice and closure to Ms. Kirk's family during this incredibly difficult time, and we will continue to seek assistance and we will continue to investigate. Thank you.
We have media available that we're going to share through our email of these locations, the images of David Barber on the day that we took him into custody. So we will share that here in just a minute through email. We didn't have it printed in time for this, so we'll have that sent out here very soon. Again, those are images of David Barber when law enforcement made contact with him on March 4th, 2025. So again, that's what Sergeant Nelson's looking for in his investigative team if anybody noticed him in those areas that we're talking about. We're also going to show you an image of the white Lincoln SUV to see if anybody's seen that during that time frame, as well as David Barber's red SUV to see if anybody's seen that vehicle as well, to help us out with our timeline and investigation.
So could you tell us more about Barber in terms of person of interest?
Yes, he is our sole person of interest in this homicide investigation.
As far as clarifying, this might help with people looking out for information. Sergeant, you mentioned walking in the area. Is it believed that he walked from the scene of where that vehicle was found back to Kirk's condo?
The information that we have right now is from the location of the vehicle fire. He was on foot. However, he could have been picked up by someone or anyone at this point. So anybody that may have seen him or someone in that area, please contact us.
That would have been a long walk.
It would have been. It was. I think it was plus 20 miles. So the likelihood of vehicle transportation is very high.
Have you looked into Uber, Lyft, that sort of thing?
We are currently investigating all.
Can you tell us the last time Mrs. Kirk was seen alive? Do you believe whatever happened on March 4th?
So the information that we have so far is on the evening of March 3rd. And once again, this is a very, very active investigation. So we are scouring a ton of video, collecting a lot of statements. We have a lot of concerned citizens that are calling in to get information. So as we continue to hone in those details, we will get an accurate time of when we have her.
You mentioned it was difficult to get a positive ID on the remains. Is that because are you able to discuss the manner of how she may have been killed?
And I'm sorry.
Do you have any details on the manner of how she may have been killed or what the situation was like? Why was it so difficult to get that DNA?
When we found her remains, they were, I'm sorry, when we found her remains, they were burned.
Similar to the car?
Correct.
Based on the information you have right now, do you believe that he killed Ms. Kirk?
The information is leading to that, but we're not going to make any sort of an assumption with 100% certainty at this time. We're going to continue to work every lead and every investigative man if we can.
And for now, he's still only facing charges of stealing her car, loitering near her condo. That's it, right?
Correct.
Sir, I always ask this question,
Yes,
it's a
ma'am.
personal question. What do you think about this? This woman was beloved.
Sure. It's gut wrenching. It's a heinous crime. The entire thing. She was very much loved by a lot of our community, the family, everyone that I've talked to, and this is even passing people in the store. They talk about how just amazing she was as a person. I mean, she was a humanitarian. She worked with the Child Advocacy Center. She's done a lot. She's done an absolute lot.
In the affidavit, it says when he was confronted about trying to avoid officers, he said, "I don't feel like I should talk about that right now."
Correct.
Could you get into more on what he said?
I'm not going to get too much into the specifics into our questioning on there, but he was not forthcoming with information at the time.
So, sir, I just to clarify, the remains are hard to identify. Why?
Because of the burning. Yeah, whenever I don't want to get too graphic, but unfortunately, due to the nature of that, it makes it very hard to tell without the medical. But I want to go ahead and get into this here. So we do have some still images of our individual that we did arrest. So this is David Barber here. This is a picture taken from March 4th.
That looks very different from his previous mugshots we've seen.
Okay, yeah, it does. So there are some changes in appearance. As you can see in this here, he's wearing black pants, black shoes, and a blue T-shirt. The next one. That picture was taken at essentially about near the end of our investigation when we were there at the apartment complex. When we first found him there at the apartment complex, this was a photo taken by one of our investigators who was also trying to identify him from a distance, and the appearance did change a bit. As you can see in that picture, the difference is he was wearing a light-colored hat.
Were his burns visible? Sorry to interrupt in those previous photos. Because he's bandaged now at the jail and he didn't have anything on his arms there.
I believe so. We'd have to take a better look. Right here, this is Miss Kirk's vehicle. It's a white Lincoln Navigator. What's authentic is the license plate. It's a Florida State Seminoles license plate. This location over here, this is the approximate area of where we discovered, or where Orange County Sheriff's Office located the vehicle. This is the intersection in the area of 520, State Road 520 and State Road 50. Oh, it's going to be in this general area right by the intersection area over here. The next image here, this is the area, essentially in this area south of Hallover Canal. And it's off of the main road where the location of the body was discovered.
And was someone who was out there called you guys and found the body, or were you already out there and you guys found the body?
It was a citizen notified, and I believe it's the NASA Police Department, or the police department out there, security forces. And then this is Mr. Barber's car. It's a burgundy Honda CR-V SUV, and what's authentic about his vehicle is its license plate. I believe it's a Sheriff's Association tag.
So did I have to ask, why Ms. Kirk, do you believe that she was the target, was the person of interest after her niece? I don't know if you thought the crime would begin and end with her. I don't know if anybody else was in danger.
Yeah. So all that's still under investigation. Again, the sole person of interest in this is David Barber. Our focus is the timeline from March 3rd through March 4th that we indicated. The clothing that he was seen by our officers is the clothing that most likely citizens driving in that area would have seen him. It's spring break, it's bike week, so we know there's a lot of individuals driving around. A lot of cars have video technology, so we're asking anybody to retrace their steps, look into that stuff, call our department with that information. At this time, we're going to end this interview.
Is he cooperating?
So, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Inside the Dark. Take care, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. where I'll be waiting to take you back inside the dark.